Hey everybody, it's Todd from Guild Games with another devlog for Shrouded Aspect. This is devlog 12, and here are some of the things that I've worked on in the last couple of weeks. The tutorial is now in the game, at least as much as I'm going to do right now. If I decide to add some more, I'll add some more, but it's a really stripped down version compared to what was in the iOS version back in 2011, because I feel like a lot more of this interface on a computer version is so much more self-explanatory, especially for people who are familiar with these kinds of games already. On mobile, I felt like this was a whole new thing and it needed a lot more explanation because it wasn't obvious about how to do controls on a touchscreen. But so it's a lot simpler now, and should help people just blow through the basics of how to play the game without bogging them down too much early on and slowing the game down too much. I added a settings screen, which the screen itself, not a big deal, but it allows to choose the resolution, full screen or windowed, and 3 different quality settings, as well as some other things like volume level for the sound and mouse speeds for different things. So that's right there. I added scenario 8, which means that scenarios 1 through 9 are now all built. Of course, everything is going to be tweaked and polished more at the end, but 1 through 9 are all playable. I did some synchronization with animations and sound. Specifically, a lot of it was like the walking animations for footsteps, to get the footsteps individually to play when the foot hits the ground, as well as the attack animations. When a swing happens, you hear a whoosh and a hit, but only if you hit. So it's a lot more dynamic now. I improved the enemy group behavior. So the way it used to work before is if enemies were still in the cloud of war, or I mean the fog of war, in the black that you haven't discovered yet, then they would just stand there and they wouldn't do anything. Even if some of their buddies nearby were just outside of it and saw you coming and went after you. So now they're grouped up. So if one enemy from the group sees you and starts coming towards you, all of the enemies from the group will come out of the fog of war and come after you. Let's see here. I added a fat zombie for the Bombsy effect. So Bombsy is, there's a skill called Summon Bombsy. Bombsy is basically a suicide bomber zombie. And what you can do is you summon it with a corpse that's already existing. You have to have a dead body on the battlefield already. Summon it. Then you can control it to walk around wherever you want. You want to put it in the middle of your enemies, and then have them just explode himself, which will do damage and knock enemies back. So that's just a lot of fun to look at. And I guess I'll have to have report that when I'm doing the survey for the game rating, I'll have to report that there's blood in the game, which is kind of a first for Guild Games, I think. Okay, a couple of minor things here. During real-time movement now, the wolf moves at like more of a trotting speed. He doesn't run around, so he keeps the same pace as the people during the real-time movement, so it looks a little more natural. I added some crashing wave sounds for a couple of scenarios that have water, and the discipline list here on the character information screen is now a grid. I wanted to be able to see all of the disciplines on the screen at once without having to scroll, so that you could see which ones character already has learned some skills in without having to scroll down to see it not buried under the bottom there. Oh, I did a lot of texture optimizations. The original build that I was making was about 2 gigabytes, which is pretty good size, especially since there's still a lot of content to be added to the game. Well, I optimized a lot of the textures that are in the game, all the textures that I could find that needed optimization, and got the build down from 2 gigabytes to about 1.25. So that's a huge savings right there. I'm hoping that the final game can still be around 2.5, definitely under 3 GB, but still don't know for sure. For comparison, Rising Star 2 is about 2.5 GB. Speaking of builds, now I have builds on Steam for internal testing. I have a couple of internal friends and family with access keys to it. So pretty soon, maybe in January, I don't know, maybe before that, I'm not sure. It depends on how I feel about it. I'll be able to open it up to more public beta testing, but no promises on that yet. I'm still shooting for March as a release, so January should be when I start doing that, if I'm on schedule. Speaking of Steam, I also have Steam achievements, which I probably talked about briefly in a previous devlog, but now that the game is on Steam, the Steam achievements are going to start actually unlocking for people that are internally testing it. So that's cool to see. And finally, I talked to a UI artist a couple of weeks ago, right after I made the last devlog. A friend of mine that worked on Word Wager with me. He did all the UI graphics and the visual effects for Word Wager that I really liked. So he's always busy. His name's Corey, and he's always busy with lots of projects. So I'm hoping that I can find some time from him to get things done. He's still working on meeting a big milestone for a project that he's on right now. So still waiting to hear back from him and find out when his availability is, but I'm hoping it's soon. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe and like, and please, biggest of all, tell your friends. If you think you know somebody who's going to like this kind of game, turn-based tactical strategy game in a fantasy setting. So basically think of it as like Dungeons and Dragons, like Baldur's Gate 3, except only the combat part of it. There's no role playing, there's no big quests and stuff like that. There's a story, but you only do the combat part of it. So if people like the combat part, the turn-based combat part of those Dungeons and Dragons types of games, then definitely let them know about this. And don't forget, there's a Patreon page if you're interested in helping with the development financially. That helps with buying models, sound effects, music. I have music still being worked on. That's being done. The UI artist, he's gonna cost some money. So I'm gonna have community managers and beta testers, a lead beta tester that I'd like to be able to pay something. So all of that helps. And so it's totally optional, but if you're interested in that, let me know, and or sign up on Patreon, and you'll definitely get the game later on when it comes out, just as part of that membership. I don't have one set up that says that, but I mean, if you end up spending as much as the game costs to buy, then I'll just give it to you, when it comes out. So, all right, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.